And welcome back to Sports on Tap. It's our Week 8 recap for our Ohio High School football coverage. I want to welcome everybody back. I'm Rob Trout. We have Josh Jeffy, Ed Ick, and Sean Duffy here. And let's jump right into it. Our game of the week, Olmsted Falls at Midview. Sean Duffy wrote the story on SportsOnTapPodcast.com and NEOSportsInsiders.com, so check him out there. He does a great job, and Sean, why don't you lead us off here?
All right. Well, our game of the week, as Rob mentioned, was the 6-1 Olmsted Falls Bulldogs coming in to face the 6-1 Midview Middies in a Southwestern Conference showdown. The Bulldogs got the ball to start and drove 89 yards to get on the scoreboard first, thanks to an 11-yard touchdown run by senior running back Luke Lombardo. Just like that, the Bulldogs were up 7-0. The Middies responded on the next drive thanks to a 4-yard touchdown run from running back Connor Wolf. Unfortunately, a missed extra point made the score 7-6 in the middle of the first quarter. Bulldogs would take their next offensive possession, this time on a 78-yard touchdown pass from quarterback Teddy Grodzinski to wide receiver Brandon Galaska, and the Bulldogs were up 13-6 after a missed extra point on their end. The Bulldogs' defense stopped the Middies on fourth down, and 2 plays later, slot back Josh Jackin scored on a 56-yard touchdown run, another missed extra point, and the first quarter ended with Olmsted Falls leading 19-7. The second quarter opened with the Bulldogs forcing a Midview interception, and with a 20-yard run by running back Jack Spellacy. A successful 2-point conversion made the score 27-6 early in the second quarter. Midview was able to get back on the scoreboard midway through the second thanks to a 4-yard TD plunge by Wolf, his second of the night, and at the half, the Bulldogs led 27-13. The third quarter saw Midview get back on the board on their first 2 offensive possessions, scoring first on an 18-yard touchdown pass from quarterback Seamus Higley to wide receiver Nick Crum. Higley would also score on a 7-yard touchdown run later in the third quarter. A successful 2-point conversion tied the score 27-27, and this was in the midway through the third quarter. Olmsted Falls was able to score again as the third quarter ended thanks to a big run by Grodzinski and a 5-yard scoring run by Lombardo to end the third quarter with the Bulldogs leading 34-27. Olmsted Falls was able to force a Midview punt, and then they were able to drain 6 minutes off the game clock on a 57-yard scoring drive, capped off by a 1-yard touchdown run by Lombardo. That's 3 touchdowns for Lombardo on the night, and the Bulldogs' lead swelled to 41-27. The Bulldogs' defense was able to squash any comeback attempt by Midview, and they were able to secure the 41-27 victory. With the win, the Bulldogs moved to 7-1 and 6-1 on the season, and they were led by the player of the game, Luke Lombardo, who had 3 rushing touchdowns on the night. Midview falls to 6-2 and 5-2 on the year, and still very much alive in the playoff picture. The Middies were led by Connor Wolf's 2 touchdowns, and Seamus Higley each having 2 touchdowns on the night. So, guys, that's the basic recap of the game. It was a pretty well-contested game. There was an interesting thing that happened, and Josh and I can kind of give you guys an idea what happened. At one point in the third quarter, it was a very interesting call because they started on their own 43-yard line. Olmsted Falls did. They were driving. The side judge called a fumble recovered by Midview. There was a discussion, and then they said no, it wasn't a fumble. But then they took them back. They took them back to where the original drive started. It's almost like they reset the entire drive because the coach, and we were on the Olmsted's Falls side, and they were howling mad at the side judge because one, you could see from the press box that the runner was down, the ball came out after he was getting up, and they called it a fumble recovered. It was a very interesting call, and it was very interesting the way it was handled because, again, they almost had a conversation within a conversation. I mean, this was like at least, 10, 15 minutes?
It did seem to take a while.
To just figure out where the ball was going to be.
Right, and they actually, good for them, they actually got the call right. There was not a fumble.
Right.
I mean, the guy's knee was down, and then the ball came out. And it was a very good game. And, Olmsted Falls came out and they ran the offense. I was actually surprised on how well they were able to run the ball against Midview and their defense, but they did, and Midview just couldn't seem to get a big stop when they needed it, and that was kind of the name of the game. I think the first half of the game, Olmsted Falls controlled the game very well. Then give credit to Midview. They came out and made some adjustments, and they were able to get the game very close. And then just Olmsted Falls, again, made the plays when they needed to, made a big catch on a long throw towards the sideline there. That really helped them propel to get a touchdown. Luke Lombardo had a great game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jack Spellacy also had a great game running in Olmsted Falls. Did a great job just running the ball. I mean, they were ball control, looking to attack on the ground, and they did that for sure.
And you could really tell throughout the game that Midview offensively was getting chunk plays, but they weren't getting them consistently. They would get, 20, 30-yard on a pass or on an end around or something like that, but then they would follow it up with a negative play or something like that. And you could really tell the frustration was building on the Midview side because they really felt like the calls weren't going their way. There's a few questionable holding calls that stalled some drives, but they were also really, really frustrated with the fact that Olmsted Falls was just beating them. I mean, to the outside. It seemed that anytime they ran to the outside, Olmsted Falls was faster, and they were able to just seal that off and get seamed. And that was the one thing. They didn't spend a lot of time going east-west. As soon as they were able to turn it up, they did. They turned it right upfield, and that was it. And, with the speed on there with Lombardo and even with the quarterback, Grodzinski, I mean, as soon as they got a seam, it seemed like they were gone. Mm-hmm. And, that was killing Midview a lot. But to Midview's credit, they came out at halftime, made some adjustments, and on defense, they actually, were able to. I mean, they tied this game, but they weren't. The defense just could not stop the running game. It was almost like that old adage, you may stop me after a break, but at the end of the game, you know what I mean. You're gonna feel the effects. You could see Midview was feeling the effects. They just could not get a push on the defensive line.
Well, and that boosted Olmsted Falls to number 4.
Yeah.
And Joe Itel standings the top 8 teams make it, and dropped it Midview to number 6 now. And if you look at Olmsted Falls, they still have a pretty tough schedule to finish out the season. A 6-2 Avon Lake team awaits as Olmsted Falls will travel to Avon Lake, and then they face a 4-4 North Olmsted team at home. So 2 very tough games for them, but that was an absolute huge win on the road.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Especially to dominate, have that first half where they dominated. Midview's not going to give up, and they're going to come back. They score a lot of points. But they're able to hold off a very good Midview team, and we'll see what happens in the remaining 2 games because still a lot of game left with those 2 games.
Yep, and it was a fun game. Me and Josh were out there roaming the sidelines.
Right up against the action. I mean, back and forth. So saw some of the pictures. Great job on the pictures that are up on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Again, the story is on sportsontappodcast.com and also on neosportsinsiders.com. So go there for all the high school football action, whether you want some pictures, you want stories, videos, they're all there. Now, our Game 9 game of the week, guys, and again, another good game that has playoff implications, and it's most of these games I think are going to near the end of the season, and then all of a sudden the playoffs are going to creep up here. As we head out to Avon, it's Amherst at Avon, and that's going to be Amherst really needs to win that game. We talked about it and broke it down a little bit. A big game for Amherst. Scagliazzo and that running game for Amherst is really going to have to try to balance that attack out and really take the clock. Part of the clock, you need to run some time off and keep that Avon offense off the field. So we'll head to Avon and watch Amherst take on the Avon Eagles as our game of the week in Week 9. That should be a great game to watch.
Looking forward to it.
So, guys, Week 8 in the books. A lot of great games this week. Close games, some close to upsets. We're starting to get closer to that playoff time, guys.
2 weeks left. 2 weeks left.
Man, season's flown by.
Yeah, it's gone quick.
Absolutely. Quick update. Yes. For the Fayetteville Rockets down in Brown County, coached by Kevin Finch, they do get a 43-17 victory over Williamsburg.
Nice.
With the win, Fayetteville is now 5-3 overall in their season. Right now in Division 6, Region 24, they're sitting at the 13 seed. They are going to need to get a couple of. They're going to need to win out. They have they play Blanchester next week. They are 3-5, and then they play an 8-0 Bethel Tate team in week 10. That will. I'm sure Coach Finch is not going to look past Blanchester. Looking forward to what will probably be a winner go home game in week 10. But that has to be lurking in the back of his mind after hopefully they can take out, they put together a good game plan. He told me that they struggle when they get down a little bit early. They were able to jump on Williamsburg from the start and able to maintain that momentum going forward. They just need to be able to get an early lead and ride that momentum out. When they get an early lead, they score a lot of points. In their wins, they've scored 20, 34, 36, 26, and 43, and their losses 8, 7, 22. So, good luck to Coach Finch out there in Brown County.
That's great, Ed.
The Bees.
It's nice to win. My other Aviators fell again to Piqua. They fell 33-27. They are all but mathematically eliminated from the playoffs. And now they face 7-1 Sydney next week.
Oh, that's tough.
At home, so they'll be in Memorial Stadium. But guys, if we got to pull these last two out, let's make it a 5-5 season. I can't deal with a 3. I can't deal with a 3-7 season. So
I'll tell you what, if you would have went to that game, I think the season would have ended up a little bit differently.
Well, and listen,
I'm not going to Piqua, bro. I'm not doing it.
No, they needed your luck.
But listen,
the 1 week you went up there.
If they need some hints on how to win some games, all they got to do is talk to the fine folks at Buckeye High School for the Buckeye Bucks as they once again go ahead with another victory. They are 8-0 on the season. They with a 25-22 victory over Fireland. So Buckeye Bucks still keeping it real.
I did the recap.
You did?
Yeah.
Yeah, he did.
Thanks for
I'm just-
listening,
I'm
Josh.
Way to go, Rob.
I'm just rehashing in
I
case.
just went through this.
You know what? Let me just do this. I'll just.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you.
All right.
And
That's
shout
all right.
out again, Buckeye.
That's right.
Go Bucks.
Let's-
They're
let's
number
get-
5 in the state, folks.
Yeah, let's get Buckeye credit.
Yeah.
Josh
They're
just
not
won.
mentioned
Five.
nearly enough on
number
here.
5 in Division 3 right now across the state.
You know what? If I were Josh, I would have just played that off and said, "Yeah, I know. I just want to give him some more love." That's
Yeah.
all.
Well,
Whoa, you might want to put that hat back on. All right.
4 wheels have fallen off this podcast for today.
Hey, good thing we're winding down here on the show.
Usually we should be getting better throughout the
That's right.
year.
Sounds like we need another off-site meeting.
I think so. We need to call it. We need to get together, regroup.
It's the grind of the season, all right?
Oh,
the
yeah.
grind of
Yeah.
the season.
Yeah.
Grind of the season.
Lose
folks.
focus in 1 minute. That's
Well,
what-
hey, guys, great job tonight before the wheel fell off. And week 8 in the books. We'll head to week 9. Good luck to all the teams out there for this week on Friday, Saturday games. We're Sports on Tap. It's our Ohio High School football coverage. I'm Rob Troutman. For Ed Dick, Sean Duffy, Josh Jeffy. We'll see you later. We'll see you in Avon.
Go Buckeye!
See ya.